this Soviet form of government is, of course, a form of state socialism, which I call Leninism, whereas the one specifically endorsed by Marx and Engels is what I would consider a modern-day form of state socialism, but I would call it Council-Communism. That's not what I would call it. That's what it is called. And this is a form of government which is still statist insofar that there is a singular entity at the heart of government, which various bodies elect to represent. Various assembled, workers' councils from various regions elect, others to represent them. But the distinction is that those who are elected are not above those who elected them. They are always accountable to them, and their actions must always be, the operations of government must always be clear and accessible to the people themselves to judge whether or not those they've elected are fit to govern them any longer. And all means of production will still essentially be run in accordance with the actual demands of the actual workers, because they are certainly controlling those who they have governed, who they have nominated to govern them temporarily. And this is a form of council-communism, because there is still a state. It's just a decentralized means of bringing it into being, and through this means of federated workers' councils, which ultimately do ascend to form a singular entity, which nonetheless is still representative of the people at the bottom of the pyramid. It's not so much the people at the bottom of the pyramid are still essentially those in control of its entire construction. And whereas with Leninism, another form of state socialism, there is also a singular state, but it in fact holds all the power. Those who are at the top of the pyramid are those who dictate how the means of production shall operate, and the level of prices, and just the entire function of government programs as a whole, and how they will proceed. This is dictated by the very, very obscure minority of the upper echelons of the party, which is a dictatorship in a very uncommunist sense, but a dictatorship, and also in a more ancient sense of a true monarchic, autocratic-like power, rather than the Marxist conception of dictatorship, which is the people themselves, the proletariat, the workers, coming together en masse and essentially assembling for the sake of protecting their own collective ownership of the means of production, rather than having the means of production controlled by those who do not essentially labor, and those who simply give orders rather than actually contributing to society. So those would be the two forms of state socialism I would essentially demarcate. On the one hand, we have Leninism, still the most familiar form of state socialism, and the lesser understood form of council-communism, which is still statist, but it is simply a decentralized, anarchistic means of achieving a state. And the state, technically in both conceptions, is intended to be withering away of the state, and it's called what is attempted to be, is what is intended to be achieved. But given the necessarily monopolistic predeterminations inherent to Leninist thought, that's with the conception of vanguard parties and bureaucratic party control. That's rather unthinkable. And achieving true proletarian autonomy is rather impossible in the Leninist conception, while the council-communist conception is much more feasible.